Hello there, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create this beautiful animated morphing animation. So basically what it is it's one shape morphing into another. Now I'm going to be building this in SVG and an element called Animate. Now Animate is supported in most browsers. It's got a 97% coverage, so if you think that's good, then you should be able to use this for your projects. Okay, so going back, so if you like tutorials like this, please subscribe to my channel and let's begin. So to start off with, I've got a basic HTML setup already, so an index.html with standard boilerplate for HTML. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add an SVG element, okay, and just give it a width and a height. So width will be I'll give it 300 pixels, and height would be I'll say 300 pixels. Okay, then I'm going to have an end tag, and then now I'm going to be drawing a path. So I'm going to be using a path command, so a path element. So it's going to be path, and in the path you have a data attribute, and it's equal to and it's a string. Okay, so now within the path we can put in the coordinates to draw a square. Okay, so we're going to be drawing a square using the path command or path element. Okay, so what we've done so far is, I've created an SVG element with width and a height of 300 pixels. Okay, so to draw the path of a square, well, we can also put in a fill color. Fill equals, say, blue. Okay, so you can also give it a stroke. Okay, so for the time being I'm going to be giving it a fill. Alright, so in order to draw we need to know specific commands. So the commands to draw are given in the D attribute. So I'm just going to go to the MDN site. So this is the MDN site, and I'm looking at the path command here. So I'm in SVG scalable vectors, SVG attribute reference. Okay, so in the path command, it gives you an example of how to draw things here. This is a bit more advanced because it's doing curves. Okay, so the path command, if I go down, these are all the path commands. So basically you have 6 types of path commands. So they are move to, line to, cubic Bezier, quadratic Bezier, elliptical, arc curve. So these are more advanced. So what we're going to do for this basic drawing exercise, we're just going to be using move to and line to. And even within move to, there's 2 commands. There's a capital M and a small m. And line 2 has a capital L and a small l, and then it's got a H and V as well, which is, we're not going to be using that. They're sort of horizontal, vertical, that's what it means. But we're just going to be using the capital L and capital M. So what are these commands? Okay, the capital M is is the initial move that you make to start your drawing. So you say move to a particular point, and then you start drawing. That's the usual way to draw paths. So in the first command is usually a move to and to a coordinate. Okay, and the capital M means it's an absolute coordinate, whereas a small m means it's relative, which means whatever point you're on, you're going to move to, x on the x direction and y on the y direction. Whereas capital M means from 0, 0, you're specifying the coordinates. So that's something to be aware of, the relative and absolute and relative positioning. So it's the same with the L, the line 2, which is the draw command. So the capital L moves to an absolute XY position, whereas the small l moves to position relative to where you are. Okay, so we're just gonna be concerned with the capital M move and capital L move to keep it simple, because otherwise it's going to get confusing. Okay, so that's how you draw it, and so they're given an example here. So you move to 10, 10, which is that point, and then you draw a line to 90, 90, which is from there you're drawing a diagonal line, and then you're drawing a vertical line up, and then you're drawing a horizontal line to X position, so 50. Okay, so we're not going to use the V and H, we're just going to use the L. So we're going to specify the coordinates. So that's how you draw. Okay, going back to our code, so we're going to be drawing a square. Okay, so we're going to also to see what we're doing, we're going to give it a stroke color, which give it a red, and then a stroke width of 3. Okay, so now we know what we're drawing. So these are commands to add a stroke. So you've got to add a color and the width as well. Okay, so going back to the D values, so I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit. Okay, so in the D value, I'm gonna use the capital M to move to a position. So we're gonna move to 10 space 10. So as you can see, we're not using commas, so we just having capital M, then we have the 2 coordinates. Okay, that's the format. So then we want to draw a line to 100 across and 10 down. Okay, so this is going to be the top line. Okay, so it's going to be 100 across, 10 down. Now I should see a line there, so I've seen a line there. Okay, so we're at that. So the ending coordinates for that is 110. Now we want to move from 110. Okay, we're going to move to coordinate 100, 100. Okay, which is going to be the line down. So to draw the line down, we would say move to 100 across, 100 down. Okay, so now it's drawn that. Now it's become like because it fills the color with blue, so it becomes sort of a triangle. Okay, so from here we're going to move to 10 across and 100 down. Okay, so this is going to be the horizontal line. So we're going to move line 2, 10 across and 100 down. So remember, that's the coordinate for that. Okay, now we've drawn these 3 sides. Now we want to close it, and to close it we do a Z. Okay, so that means it will go back to the original 10, 10. Okay, so you don't have to explicitly put, draw a line to 10, 10. Okay, so that's the shortcut way of closing the path. Okay, so this is how you draw a square. Now we're gonna use an animate element to animate this. To do that, we need to specify 2 points. So we're gonna sort of have this one as our starting point, and then we're gonna morph it into a different rectangle, or it could be any other shape. But it's got to have the 4 points. That's the requirement. So in order to do that, we need to specify this as a we need to specify an end tag for this. So we're going to take the data part out, and I'm going to just cut that out, and then we're going to have a close tag path. Okay, oops. And within there, we're gonna have animate, and animate would have an attribute name. Okay, so the attribute name would be equal to d, which is the data part of our path, our square, or our shape. Okay, then we're going to have a duration which is equal to 5 seconds. Right, so this animation is going to run for 5 seconds, and then we're going to have a repeat count, which is going to equal to it's going to be indefinite. Indefinite. Okay, so this is gonna, let me just expand this. Okay, so, and then we're gonna have so we specified that we're gonna be animating the d value. So the values for this are, okay, equals to, and it's gonna be a string. Okay, so in this string we're gonna have a start followed by a colon, then we're going to have an end followed by a colon, then back to the start again. So we're going to go from start and then an end point, then we're going to go back to the start. So it's going to go in a loop. So these are the values that we're going to specify. So we just expand this out so we can know what we're typing in. Okay, so I'm gonna put in the d value there. Okay, I'm not gonna have the, so I'm just pasting that value there. Okay, for our initial square, and I've specified a colon there. Now for the end point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just change that a little bit. So I've just copied that with a colon there. Okay, and we're going to sort of change bits of this. So I'm just going to say, right, instead of going down 10, I'll say go to 50. And instead of going 100, I'm going to say go to 70. And then instead of going back to 100, I'll say 150. Okay, so it's gonna morph from this shape to this shape, then it's gonna morph back to that shape. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy the start again and put it here. Okay, so I don't need the last semicolon. So as you recall, this is the data for the first square that we created. Then we created another set of data or coordinates for another shape that we don't know. And then yeah, it's not really a rectangle. It would be an odd shape. Then it's going to go back to our shape again. So this will I've got to take out the end tag there. Okay, so this should be valid now. If I save this, and then oops, go and refresh. So that's how it's animating. So it's starting from this position, then it's going to this position, and then it's morphing back to this position. So, and this is the format that we need to specify. Now we're going to complicate shapes with this method. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a complex blob. We're going to animate a blob. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, the width and height, and make it 500. Okay, now, so we're going to need the data for these values. Okay, we're going to replace it with a different shape. Okay, so to get the values, I'm going to go to a site called blobs app. Okay, it's just blobs.app. It's a very simple name to remember. Okay, from here we can create complex shapes. Now, trick here is to remember that it's got this sort of controls on the right-hand side. Okay, and if you look at the complexity, what I'll say the complexity means how many points that the shape will have. Okay, so what I would say is, put it to a specific complexity. I would say something like 14, and then you can create the shape from this complexity. So you gotta make the shape from the same amount of points. So now I can create different shapes with the randomness control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with something really round, which is this. So then I click on the code part. Okay, now the code part will have this long path thing. So I'm just going to copy this out. Okay, and go back to my Visual Code. Okay, I'm just going to paste it here. Okay, now I don't want all this. I just want the D part. Okay, so I'm just going to delete everything else. I don't need that. I don't need the fill as well. So a bit tricky. Okay, so I'm not going to have the fill and the path. Okay, I'm not going to have the inverted commas. So you got to make sure that you don't include the inverted commas there. So I'm going to just copy that part, everything between the inverted commas, just copy, and then I'm going to paste it in as the first value. Okay, so it's okay. So I'm going to delete that part. All right. So now I do view and word wrap. Okay, so I can see it better. So I've just copied that what was inside the D value. So if I go back to the site again, so I just copied everything from that inverted commas to that D value just before the inverted commas. So I've copied this. Now I need to change the shape. I'll change it to this shape, and I'll go to view SVG code, and then I'm going to copy from that inverted commas the D value, and go back and sort of carefully copy just that part. And remember, don't copy the inverted commas because that's going to really mess it up. Okay, so I'm going to go back. So I'm going to copy that into the second value. So just put a space there. Remember, there's a semicolon there. So there's a semicolon there. So I'm going to paste it. So I'm just going to make the space there. So I'm just going to paste it just before the semicolon. Okay. And the last value is going to be the same as the first value. So I'm just going to copy that. the first value. Again, remember, don't copy the semicolon, right? And this will be the last value, and it doesn't have a semicolon at the end. So, these are the three values. If I save that and go to document, there you go. So that's the blob. Okay, so that's an animated blob. Now, what you can do is you can also go here and click on gradient. Okay, so if I copy that code, okay, now I will have this sort of gradient stuff there under the def. So in SVG there's a element called the defs, which is sort of definition. So the definition defs will have things that you can use within your SVG. Okay, so here we're defining a gradient, and then we're going to use this gradient in our path. We'll go here. See, it's saying URL gradient. Okay, so it's referring to the def with the gradient ID. So as you can see here, I've got an ID of gradient. So this def part, we can use it within our SVG. So I can just copy it and I'll just paste it in there, and remember to use the URL gradient. Then just refer it to in the field as URL gradient. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. I click copy, and then go back to our code. Right, and so if I paste it just before the path. Okay, so now we need to refer the fill as that the ID. Okay, so we go to the path part, and all I've got to do is instead of blue, I'm going to have URL and ID gradient. Okay, so save that, go back. There you go. So we've got this lovely gradient thing going on as well. So I can tidy this up now, make it look a little bit better. So I'll go to the top now to add some styling. So the style tag, and I'm gonna style the body, and it's gonna be display flex, and I'm gonna have a height of 100 view height, and justify content center, and align item center, and also I'm going to have a background image so I'm going to have a linear gradient, and I'm going to have a color as turquoise and color blue. Okay, so now if I go to the browser, do refresh, there you go. So there you go. This will look really cool on a landing page if you set it as a background. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please subscribe to my channel if you want more lessons like this.